Yeah, I mean, just kind of starting, I guess, from the very beginning. I mean, just with the season in general. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty quick turnaround. You know, we start January 13th, and then the season essentially with conference is over February 16th, 17th. So essentially, we're looking at almost a 5-week conference season, and then a couple more weeks are nationals. So it's pretty quick to kind of get grinding through. So we're at the halfway point now, and I probably at this point I don't think I could be happier with where we're at. I mean, we've had some pretty amazing things happen so far. Kind of just talking about some of them really quick. I mean, Tori Johnson in the high jump jumped just under a centimeter under her lifetime PR already this year. I think right now, after rankings from the weekend, she's ranked 9th in the country. Noah Wallace, who's a freshman, I think is ready to pop another big time.
Yep.
I don't know exactly what he's ranked, but he's ranked probably in the top 25 or 30 would be my guess right now. Emma Hill just keeps waiting to pop that big mark, and so it's coming. I promise. And so she's really excited. We're really excited about where she's at. I think we've just had some really, really good things kind of all around. I mean, there's another handful of people that are just on that cusp. I mean, Adam Brown's run 48.8, and it's 48.6 to hit a provisional mark. Carlos Ortiz has run 690, and it's 688. And so, we're obviously leading into this weekend, hoping for some more, kind of big marks to come. But, we were talking before we came on that, I mean, we're at 12 provisional marks for the team at the halfway point of the year. I mean, I think that's a pretty remarkable place to be. I mean, so James on the men's side, James Phillips, had an amazing, competition, really, really well. Lifetime PR, I believe, in the high jump. Still trying to figure out a couple of events. Really started to have some light bulbs click with that pole vault. We didn't necessarily get maybe the mark that we would have hoped. I think he tied his PR, but I think some big jumps are coming in there for him. Just one small hiccup, in the long jump, put his hand back a little bit. I think that cost a little bit of points, but pretty excited for moving forward with where that should be for conference. On the women's side, Chelsea Bone, provisional mark, again, just starting to kind of figure that thing out. I think outdoors, the HEP for her is probably her marquee event, but indoors kind of just trying to get the pent figured out and kind of dialed a little bit more. And again, for her, I think come conference, I think there's a lot of points that can be added in there. And, a small shout out to Gino Brown. I think, he's done really well. We had James was a small hiccup. His was a pretty big hiccup in the long jump. But, I think that, what he did in the rest of the competition, I think showed that once he gets that piece back in there, he's another provisional mark and trying to move up that totem pole to see if he can get himself into the national meet as well. And I think a big piece of it is the fact that there's no indoor track in the state of Oregon. And so, the closest track to us is the University of Washington, obviously big Pac-12 Division I school, and then, I mean, from there, it's a who's who of track and field. I mean, that's the beauty to me of track and field is it doesn't matter what school you're at, it doesn't matter what division it's at. If you're good enough to toe the line or get in the ring or, get on the runway with the best people in the country, that's where you're going to be. We saw it last year with Mackenzie Warren. Mackenzie Warren, Division II athlete who's going to these meets and beating up on all the Division I people and going to the U.S. championships and doing really well. And so that's the thing that I love about track and field. And so, I mean, we've been up there with, Texas and Baylor and Stanford and Cal, and I mean the list goes on and on. I mean, and I think what that does is, yes, the rest of the GNAC schools kind of see the same thing, but what it does is it prepares you for the GNAC championships, because when you get there and you've raced or you've thrown against or you've competed against some of the best people in the country, regardless of division, well, the GNAC championships don't seem so quite as tough anymore. And so I think that really lays the foundation for us as we kind of move through the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah, everyone, this last UW meet that we had really had a great meet, lots of PRs, and obviously, GNAC records and top throws in the GNAC and improved our top 10 school records by quite a bit as well. Got a couple more athletes to provisionally qualify for nationals on the throwing side, and Christina maintained top 8 in the weight in the nation, and everyone had throws and warm-ups that were considerably further. Mel had a throw that would put her number 1 in the nation in warm-ups that she didn't get when they finally pulled the tape. So everyone's on track to throw in really far in the next few weeks. And the periodization with the programs that I'm writing means that everyone will be throwing far naturally with what they're doing to get ready for the championship meet. So big throws are really going to come in these next few weeks. Yeah, Jacob had a 7-foot PR in the weight, and he got a provisional qualifier, number one in the GNAC, obviously with that, and then moves, I think, to like 4th all time in school history, which with our rich tradition here, our school records are just as good as any D1 program, you know, in the Pac-12 or SEC, the top programs in the nation. So it's really hard on the throwing side to get school records, to get into that top 10, to get into the top 5. So when you're doing that, that means that you're, you know, nationally ranked. Yeah, she's such a talent. When I recruited her, you know, I knew she was going to be good. And last year as a freshman, threw over 180 in the hammer, which nobody does. I mean, no one in the country comes in as a freshman. It's very rare and goes 180 in hammer. And then I knew she could be a great shot putter and gets a provisional qualification of the shot, PRs by over 2 feet. And so she's just now beginning what I think that she can do. It's going to take about 47 to go to nationals in women's shot. So she has a couple more feet, but she definitely has an outside chance to go, and can definitely get that mark, you know, and join hopefully Katrina, who's in the same position. Obviously Mel and Melissa are going to go. So hopefully we'll have 4 girls go to nationals in the shot. That'd be pretty neat. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the cool thing about track is if they have a track meet, anyone can go. So there might be an Olympian in your flight, and you're at Concordia, or there's you know Pac-12 schools like this last meet. You know, obviously Oregon State, Washington State, Arizona State. You know, sometimes Texas shows up. So it's the best track teams in the nation. And for instance, Mel in the shot gets 3rd place, beats all the other Pac-12 girls. With the exception of the girl from Stanford who got 2nd. And then in that same meet, Mackenzie Warren, Concordia alum, her first year out of college, obviously she's an assistant coach this year as well, threw the 7th furthest mark in the world to take the win. So it's pretty neat that we can beat all these top schools, and then Mackenzie, you know, even though she's throwing professionally now, is the 7th best shot putter in the world, you know, a Concordia alum. That's pretty neat.